Previously on Globe Trek Around the World, Justin Shapiro traveled across the USA on Route 66 and beyond. Judith Jones then crossed the border into Mexico and traveled through Central America. Brianna Barnes continued our journey through the land of conquistadors, Aztecs and Incas, through Latin America to Peru. Now we join Zay Harding in Santiago, Chile.
I'm in a large family of islands, fished out of the sea by the gods and raised by Polynesian legends. They were settled by the most remarkable navigators of all time. When French explorer Louis-Antoine de Bougainville arrived, he discovered a Garden of Eden with hundreds of Eves as beautiful as the goddess Venus.
So beautiful, in fact, that they drove men mad with desire.
And it took Christianity to curb their enthusiasm.
Join the Harding.
As I follow in the footsteps of the Polynesian peoples who created the South Sea Islands, and the European interlopers who transformed them for better,
Or for worse.
In this Globe Trekker Round the World special, I head into the Pacific Ocean to explore the South Pacific Islands. I start my journey in Santiago, Chile, before flying to Easter Island, where I gaze at the Moai statues. I travel to Tahiti, where I participate in the Heiva Va'a canoe race. I then sail to Pitcairn Island, refuge of the mutineers of the HMS Bounty.
To begin my grand adventure, I've come here to the heart of Chile.
Santiago, capital of Chile, colonial town framed by the Andes Cordillera. Santiago started life as a fort colony established by the Spanish explorer Pedro de Valdivia back in 1541. It was gold that brought the Spanish to Chile, but it was copper that fueled its industrial economy. And the same quest for precious minerals led to the annexation of my first destination, Easter Island, back in 1888. In the 1980s, the oppressive military rule of Augusto Pinochet led to waves of political protest around the country. And in Santiago, the artistic community took a great part. This community still rumbles in the Bella Vista neighborhood.
The cream of Chilean intellectuals and artists used to hang out in this neighborhood, giving it the hippie-ish feeling that it has today. And their most famous denizen, Pablo Neruda, lived just here. Communist spirit, Nobel Prize winner, and romantic poet who wrote best about love. A silver gull drifts down from the west. Sometimes a sail. High, high stars. Oh, the black cross of a ship. Alone. Here, I love you. And the horizon hides you in vain. I love you still, among all these cold things. Sometimes my kisses go on these heavy vessels that sail across the sea to no arrival. I love what I do not have. You are so far.
And so I begin my Pacific journey, leaving the South American continent and heading out into the Pacific Ocean. My first destination, Easter Island, is almost 2,500 miles away. That means a long flight of nearly 6 hours.
The locals call Easter Island Rapa Nui, and they refer to this place as Te Pito or Te Henua, or the navel of the world. It's the second most remote place on Earth, and the easternmost settlement, reconciled by the first Pacific Islanders in the 8th century. And they came here from a place called Hiva. No one knows where that is, really. It's speculated to be somewhere around the Gambiers or the Marquesas Islands. So if this is the main street, then welcome to the heartbeat of the world's belly button.
Easter Island's main attraction are its moai statues. There are more than 900 of these ancient statues scattered around a volcanic island. My moai tour starts in the capital, Hangaroa, where I explore the statues of Ahu Tahai. I then take the coastal road to Ranuraraku. I end my journey at Ahu Tongariki. Without ado, I hire a horse and explore the moai of Ahu Tahai. The moai are carved volcanic sculptures, which stand on stone platforms called ahus. They are widely believed to represent clan ancestors who ruled in a world where deceased spirits protected the living from their tribal enemies and from the threat of famine. A famine which was brought on by a sudden loss of trees. Incredible, bewitching, and ever mysterious.
Archaeologists have been confounded by their existence for centuries. What they do know about them is that their production went up during a depressing period of deforestation between the 14th and 17th centuries. There were too many people on the island, and with their woodland habitat gone, food was scarce. And so clans started fighting each other, and they started turning to these ancestral moai to save them. Come on.
I definitely recommend Easter Island. It's one of those bucket list kind of places. Most people don't know much about it or where it is or anything else, but the savvy travelers who's almost been everywhere else, it's one of those places that they definitely want to go to is Easter Island, and I would recommend it highly.
I make my way to Ranuraraku. The crater is where the moai were carved. It's here I meet archaeologist Sergio Rapu, and he gets me up close and personal with some moai.
This is the quarry of the statues on Easter Island.
So this is the birthplace of the moai.
Exactly. Almost all of the moai were carved here.
And what year did this practice start, of building moais?
I think from the very beginning, when the Polynesians arrived to this island, they brought with them the cult of the ancestor. So their ancestors were represented by these statues. At the beginning, they have a different style, of course. And through time, they change. It became like what we're seeing here.
And how were they making them?
They were making with a very simple tool, made out of stone like this, dense basalt, a bemorite basalt. They were making hundred of these tools and being used and discharged every time they produce a moai. So here in the ground and over the surface, we have thousands and thousands of them.
And they've lasted that long?
Over 1,000 years of traditions, yeah.
Now, how could a Stone Age people possibly raise up the moai? Sergio illuminates me.
This is a middle-sized moai, it's about 40-50 tons. If it's small, we'll have a convex shape, like a rocking chairs. But on the other hand, the bigger moai will have concave base. That allow the statues to be moved back and forth on the sides. But at the same time, the base has to be inclined forward, maybe between 5 to 7 degrees. So when you move the statue, it's like moving a refrigerator, tilting and pulling forward. To me, the most important contribution of Rapa Nui culture to the knowledge in humanity is their ability to transport a statue of 90 to 100 tons far away from the quarry, maybe 12, 15 kilometers away, moving it in a vertical position like walking. It is the ability to do it that's not found anywhere else in the world that I know of.
We set off from Ranuraraku to an even more impressive site, Ahu Tongariki.
This is what you think of when you think of Easter Island. You want to just picture all these and run up to them and hug them, don't you?
The Ahu Tongariki is a bowling pit of 15 giant moai, and its powerful presence perfectly illustrates the statue's divine hold over the Rapa Nuians at this time of war and famine.
So why are there so many in this one area?
Well, this is a good sign of wealth. The lineage that owned these Ahus were involved in producing a lot of food to feed those that will work for the Moai.
Yeah.
So they deforested the island. In the case of Easter Island, what we really have, less natural resources, but more hand resources, meaning a lot of people that with a little pay, they were doing a great job. Making more and more, bigger and bigger Moai actually mean a way to survive.
By the mid-18th century, benevolent guardians like the bird god had replaced the Moai, and there was no longer a need for their existence. Indeed, the Rapa Nuians had finally learned to live in harmony, although it would be a short-lived peace that was about to be shattered by arriving Christian missionaries who brought with them a contempt for Polynesian tradition. 200 years on, and Easter Island is like a strange mix of Polynesian cultures and Spanish colonial influences.
All right, I'm starving, so I've come to a local cafe to find out how the locals eat, and apparently they have hearty appetites. China here, she's half Rapa Nuian, as half the population is actually. Originally, when Chile acquired Easter Island, there were less than 200, and so a lot of them are half Chilean as well now, aren't they?
That's why my father married a Chilean woman. My mother's Chilean.
What is this, empanadas?
Empanadas.
Empanadas.
This is how you call it. So empanadas you have there with shrimps and cheese, like mine. That is delicious. And the other one is meat and onion.
Beef onion curry with eggs, delicious.
A Polynesian tradition that has survived Christianity's crusade here is one of storytelling.
I've come here to see some kai, which is the Rapa Nuian way of telling stories using a string. Now, these stories have been passed on from generation to generation, and these girls, Govita and Valeria, have learned it from their grandmother, who was the master kai.
Eruanga uka atorio ahoyata e ahaana e ururu pukao atarangiana e tomoto mopukao verihiva ana itemotu otiau kau otiau hopu otiau i tua otiau i ahuri kiriki hakahinga ana itemoai e kohanga e kohu e tito ke kere matapea e kangaroro kihiva.
Very nice. And what did that mean?
It tells a story about two girls.
Uh-huh. So this is the hair
Yes.
and the body.
And this is the head, the hair and the body.
Oh, okay.
They are walking around Ranuraraku volcano. There used to be an ahu there with the moai.
Uh-huh.
And they got there and they play with the stones, the moais, the ahu, and they put the moai down.
So this is a story of two girls that go up to the mountain and knock
Yes.
over a moai.
Yes.
And they walk away.
Yes, then they walk away to Hiva.
To Hiva.
To
This is actually very exciting. It triggered a memory I had as a child growing up in Hawaii where they taught us the string dance. And it goes a little something like this.
Epuate ohe epuate nanaia.
Eia ke kaola, lo ihi ke kaola.
Iaia te ahi, tunu ki a kia, havea vea, hiringa te manu.
Hiena hati, maiena hati.
Hana ke kaola.
Kahaoe, hanua mea awa I tau a kura.
Mana hei.
E ure tere pai.
I head 2,500 miles west to Tahiti. Tahiti is in the Society Islands and belongs to French Polynesia. It comprises of 5 main islands: Tahiti, Bora Bora, Moorea, Raiatea, and Huanin.
I wanted someplace to escape, to just totally not have a worry in the world.
It's the planet's undisputed tropical paradise, attracting tourists to its stunning landscapes both above and under the sea. Most Tahitians are devout Christians, but they do also love tradition, like wearing the fragrant white flower called the tiara behind the ear, and adorning their bodies with tattoos.
Me present my tattoo. Here represent the island and protection. My father, four brother, Tiki, and here.
Like Easter Island, Polynesian culture thrived in Tahiti before it was discovered by Europeans. They were led by the explorer Captain James Cook, who arrived here in 1767 to chart the transit of the planet Venus as it crossed the sun. And a year after him, the Frenchman Louis-Antoine de Bougainville, who claimed Tahiti for les Français.
The first French navigator to sail around the world in search of a mythical land, Terra Australis, believed to hold the gold of King Solomon and a lure of spices. Ever since the time of Greek astronomer Ptolemy, it was believed by all philosophers that there must be a substantial southern hemisphere landmass equal to that of the north to give the world balance. And it was the same obsessive quest that lured Captain James Cook to Tahiti as well.
I start my exploration of Tahiti in Papeete, where I take part in the Heiva Va'a canoe race. I then travel to Matavai Bay and recount a tale of mutiny aboard the British HMS Bounty. During his first Pacific voyage, Captain Cook was amazed to learn that the Polynesians crossed the Pacific on simple outrigger canoes. And I've come to the Heiva Va'a canoe race to celebrate this incredible feat. It's a race which features nearly 1,500 men and women competing in 1, 3, 6, and 16-paddler canoes. It's a 2-mile course which rounds Papeete Harbor and is as much about endurance as it is about speed. Polynesians arrived in Tahiti around 200 BC. They used their senses to guide them, learning how to track the motion of the stars, the direction of the ocean swells. They also looked at the reflection of lagoons on the bottom of clouds. Incredible to think that their navigational skills carried them across the Pacific Ocean.
I've come out on a sports boat just to get a little preview of what's actually to come out here, and it's a lot more intense being out here seeing them in action than it looked on shore. They're in a trance. It's all about the rhythm. Hut, ho, hut, ho. Probably ready to throw up right now. It's 2 miles of this intense work.
It's my turn now.
Welcome to the Super Bowl of canoe racing. I'm going to be actually competing with an open men's team here called Mauna Ahine, and this is their coach, Gordon. This is the calm before the storm. I hope I can do you guys honor.
For this event, you will have armor.
I hope I don't get any arrows aimed my way. It doesn't seem that strong.
This is the helmet.
And this is the helmet. Oh my goodness. This may protect me as well. Like that? What's this called?
Heiupo.
Heiupo, okay.
And your weapon.
This is my weapon. I love it.
Manari will be the stroker.
What's the
stroker? He will give the pace.
Okay.
American football, he will be the quarterback.
Quarterback, okay. Okay, very important, huh? So he sits in the front.
He sits on the front. Everybody follow with the eyes, just follow.
Okay.
Follow. Same pace.
And what am I?
You running back.
I'm the running back. I'm power in the boat, yeah? Okay.
Inspirational team talk complete. There's just time to don our sarongs, called pareos, our heiupo, grab our weapons, and yep, we're now ready to do battle. My coach reckons we're good to finish in the top 20 out of 65 competing canoes. But the pace is electric, and I can't keep this up. No more! No more!
What a rush! If honor is the prize, then I won. That was so tough. We didn't come in last. Came in 58. That's not bad out of 65. Right, guys? High five. All right. All right.
Did I hear someone laughing back there? Time for dinner, and Papiti Park is where you'll find the roulottes.
It's a truck that transforms itself into a full-on outdoor diner. They roll up between 5 and 7 every night. They're only open for a few hours. They don't cook it until you order it, so you know they're fresh. And you've got a wide variety. You've got Chinese, Japanese, Italian, French, Greek, Arab, American. So it really becomes a game of where to go, which I like to call roulotte roulette.
The menus here reflect the diverse population that make up today's Tahiti, and most prominent are the Chinese, descendants of plantation workers brought over by British traders in the 19th century.
I like the food. My plate is empty. Every day, every time, smile. Fantastic people in Tahiti. The sun, the beach, in vacation is all fantastic.
Papiti's Tahitian name is Water Basket. It's a sunny, fragrant, and floral town easily crossed on foot. And I can hear some Polynesian music. There's a dance going on.
Hello, Yorana. Morning, Brando. Still alive in Tahiti. Look at that. This is a dress rehearsal for the Hava Festival, which happens next week. Traditionally, it was just guys, but then girls eventually came into it, striking poses of everyday life, while the guys kept their postures of warfare and sailing. Now, all of it's just driven by these drums, which are called the taware. They're basically hollowed out logs hit with a stick. Gives it that real wild, tribal, percussive sound. Together, mixed with the dancing, it's extremely wild and sexy.
It's as Tahitian as you can get. Grass skirts bound with tassels to accentuate the hip shaking. Imagine the effect these moves had on the first Europeans who arrived here in the late 18th century. Not to mention the impression it had on the missionaries, who were so taken aback by their sexuality that they banned them. Party poopers! The Polynesian women were first wooed by the Europeans in Matavai Bay, some 250 years ago.
Doo-doo. I've made my way into Matavai Bay, the historic landing point where Captain James Cook rowed ashore during his first voyage into Tahiti. It's also the spot of another historic vessel, the Bounty. It's where they pulled in. Skippered by one Captain William Bligh and ably assisted by his master's mate promoted to first officer, one Fletcher Christian. The date is October 26th, 1788, and it's taken the crew some 11 months to arrive here from England. Ah, Maururu. I'll leave that one for you. Bounty and his crew are here to collect these breadfruit so they can transport them to the West Indies so that Bly's wife's uncle can feed his slaves on his plantation. Basically, these are free food once they're planted, and they grow in every climate in all 4 seasons. So, for 5 months, these guys are picking the breadfruit and enjoying the forbidden fruit of the Tahitian women. Then, they take off to sea. But the blinders have been lifted now, and they can't stop thinking about these hot, topless Tahitian babes. Put together with the bad conditions on the ship, they want to come back to Tahiti. And a mutiny arises, led by Fletcher Christian. So, poor old Captain Bly gets put on a longboat with 18 of his loyal followers, and they're set adrift with just 1 compass and 1 barrel of water. Ship's company, HMS Bounty. William Bly, lieutenant. Fletcher Christian, master. John Samuel Clerk, Peter Gardner, botanist.
A headstone commemorates the Bounty's inauspicious arrival in Matavai Bay. The punishment for mutiny was hanging, and so fearing death, the mutineers split up. Some went to Tahiti, 1 fled to Tonga, but 8 others, led by Fletcher Christian, shored up in Pitcairn Island, where the British fleet couldn't hope to find them.
The 16 mutineers that remained here in Tahiti experienced a life that was a lot less friendly. The tribes here were poor and starving, and they were fighting all the time. And when they found out that the mutineers had weapons, they got hold of them and not only used them against their rivals, but eventually against the mutineers as well. Pretty ugly. All this mess over a silly-looking fruit. There you go, guys. All yours.
I'm back on the plane again as my bounty tales send me to my final destination, a mutineer's trail taking me from Tahiti to Mangariva in the Gambiers archipelago. And then another 300 miles to Pitcairn Island, Fletcher Christian's adopted home. The trip involves a 3-hour flight followed by 2.5 days on a cargo ship.
It's definitely a journey. Flights all day, and now I'm catching a ferry from the airport. This is actually the airport to my boat.
By boat, I mean my tender to Pitcairn.
Woo! What a journey this is. So I left Easter Island, landed in Tahiti, got to Mangareva, and have to take a ferry to the actual island. I don't even know what time it is right now.
Right, I'm off. And no, my tender isn't the Bounty, but an old German riverboat called the Claymore II. It ferries passengers and supplies to Pitcairn. But really, folks, don't arrive late. The Claymore only travels to Pitcairn once every 3 months.
They've got me way down below here. If this was a Titanic, it'd be the steerage class. Let's see, where am I? Here we are. Number 4. I'm supposed to be sharing a room with a guy named Yannick. All right. Pretty nice sized room. A little hot, but got some fans on it, looks like. It also looks like this Yannick character's already moved in. Let's see his stuff. He's got his towel on my bed. He's got this Captain Cook book here. He's definitely moved in. Maybe I should do the same. Put my stuff on his bed, huh? You like that? Like that, Yannick? Take that and that. There. This is our room, not yours. All right. I think we're gonna get along just great. So here I am in the middle of the beautifully blue Pacific Ocean. And just to give you an idea of how remote Pitcairn is, I've been traveling for an entire day now, and I have not seen one island, one ship, or one plane. And the New Zealand crew tells me that they traveled 2,800 miles and they didn't see a single ship either. Whew.
Cruise liner this isn't, but there are a couple of fellow passengers I can talk to.
I'm sitting here with Martin, who's one of just 2 other passengers with me here on the way to Pitcairn, and I'm fascinated with his passport. He has hit 244 countries and territories of the 251 that exist. He's told me it's his lifelong goal to hit every country and territory in the world. So why did you put off Pitcairn for so long?
Well, something had to be last, and this is one of the most remote places on Earth, very difficult to get to. I mean, it's basically a rock in the South Pacific, and the only way to get here is on this ship every now and again.
What do you know about Pitcairn so far?
There are 46 inhabitants, Pitcairners, all descended from the mutineers of the Bounty, their Tahitian wives and their Tahitian friends. It has a tumultuous history of small group living and family feuds and geopolitical issues, trying to hide from the British Empire for a couple centuries.
So what are you most excited to see?
I think it'll be most exciting actually to talk to some of the locals and just understand that rich history, right? Because everyone will have some perspective on what's truth, what's folklore, and what the reality is.
And the other passenger on this boat is Bob here. Now Bob is on a mission to collect Polynesian artifacts from the dirt there, right?
Yeah, I'm looking for Polynesian artifacts who were there 400 years before the Bounty people and back probably for 800 years before that.
This is interesting because a lot of people just know it for the Bounty, but there's actually a whole history of Polynesian settlement there.
I searched the internet and all that for books about the early Polynesians, and there's not much.
What kind of things are you finding?
Well, a good example of what I find is a lot of stuff like that. That's a little adze been chipped out.
What's an adze?
That's the carpenter's main tool.
And what are you doing with all this stuff?
I've got a museum at home which started off as 1 room in my house and has expanded to 3 rooms. My wife's threatened to buy the house next door, and I don't do it to make money because I don't sell nothing. You ask my wife, you know.
You just can't escape the sea-sickening waves on this voyage, and they're also starting to send me a little crazy. I try and sleep them off.
Picture this. It's January 1790. I'm Fletcher Christian, and I'm on the run from the British fleet. They'll have me hanged if they catch me. I've got with me here on the Bounty 7 fellow mutineers, 6 Tahitian men, 12 Tahitian women, and 1 child who's probably mine. I've thought about turning myself in several times, but I can't bring them all down with me. And then it hits me. As I look at Pitcairn, I realize on Captain Cook's map, he's mislabeled it. This is the same map that the Royal Navy is using to find us. Could this be the answer to our prayers? There's only one way to find out.
Pitcairn Island. It's the most remote outpost of the British Crown, and it was claimed in 1838. It appears that the only way to shore up here is on a longboat.
We're supposed to land on the other side, but it's too choppy, so we've landed on this side. But that means the longboat that's picking us up has to come all the way around the island. I just see it on the corner here, coming around the bend.
Okay, I'm off. Wish me luck. Pitcairn is just 2 miles long and 1 mile wide, and belongs to a group of 4 volcanic islands, the rest which are Juicy, Henderson, and Little Eno.
Hey, we made it. Welcome to Pitcairn. Look at these cool vehicles. Everybody's got a ride but me. I guess I'm walking.
I set off from Bounty Bay, march up the hill of difficulty to Adamstown. From Adamstown, I explore Christian's Cave before ending my journey diving the Bounty ship back in Bounty Bay. All public life in Pitcairn centers in Adamstown, a neighborhood created by the mutineer John Adams, who turned to Christianity after his fellow Bounty rogues passed away.
All right, so this is the capital, Adamstown, and today they've got a market set up for tourists because they heard we were coming in. So it should be arts and crafts, and everybody from town is here right now. Hello. We got Pitcairn stamps. These are famous, you know that? World famous.
Yes, yeah. Bounty stamps. It's just on sale now in the post office. There are stamps depicting myself making tapa cloth.
Tapa, that's the Polynesian tradition, isn't it?
Yeah, an art that has been revived after 75 years.
And they're on display here in the post office?
They're on display here.
I want to check that out. Well, nice to meet you.
Yes.
Is there someone who can help me in here?
Yes, I can help you. I'm the postmaster.
Oh, see, I thought you were working the booth.
Oh, my mother works in the booth, and I work at the post office.
Okay, so I met a lady outside who was telling me about some tapa stamps.
Yes, this is her tapa stamp here.
That is her, look at that.
Tapa is a cloth hammered out of tree bark.
These are world famous stamps here, aren't they? Pitcairn stamps.
Well, from what I learned, they are.
Yeah.
In fact, Pitcairn stamps are the most sought after stamps in the world.
You've got 4 postcards. That comes to 1920.
This is New Zealand money, which
New
is
Zealand
about
money.
the same as American. So that's about just under 20 bucks. That's not bad. I was thinking these were going to be really, really expensive. Get some shoes with the change.
80 cents won't get a shoe.
You don't want the shoes anyway, right? All right, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome, and thank you.
All right,
Enjoy your
see you.
stay.
Where did everybody go? The heck? How long was I in there?
I guess I might as well check in. 60 New Zealand dollars per night at a Bounty descendant's home.
So you get your own room, meals included, a Bounty descendant local guide, all built into the same price. And look at this view. That is quality value. And my view is much better than that guy's down there.
I'm keen to know more about the Pitcairners' Bounty heritage, and what better place to start than the local museum. The museum has a collection of Polynesian artifacts, a mutineer's wheelbarrow, and the Bounty's cannon.
This is John Adams.
Yeah, this is great to put a face to the name.
He made the community very Christian-like and settled like a big family. By the time that they were discovered, there was 40 kids, women, children.
So he taught them all to read and then taught them passages of the Bible.
Yeah. He died with the community calling him father. So he was seen as the matriarch of the island at the time.
Definitely.
And I mean, if you look at those photos of the housing on Pitcairn around that time, it's amazing because the Polynesians that came with them on the Bounty would have told them how to do this. They were sailors, so they had no idea of how to live on the land. And they came to an isolated island with plenty of food and plenty of fish, but they wouldn't have known how to do that. So the Tahitians taught them all that.
So originally they brought them on as extra help on the boat, but then they ended up teaching them how to build homes and stuff.
It wasn't extra help. There's 2 theories. One, that they came with them willingly because they'd made relationships with them in Tahiti. And the other theory is that they left in the middle of the night and the Tahitians that were on board stayed on board. Yeah. There was actually a baby on board as well. I mean, the mother that was on there, I don't think she'd have any idea that they were going.
Can you imagine just not knowing where your life is going?
No, not at all.
Getting caught up in this and then just trying to hang on.
Yeah. This is Thursday, October Christian. He is Fletcher Christian's first son.
Thursday, named after a day of the week in the month.
Yeah.
What is that about?
I guess they went to original back in those days.
It's It's kind of original. But he was actually born on a Friday.
They didn't realise they'd made a mistake in the date. When they realised their mistake when Topaz came here, he was renamed Thursday.
The Topaz was the American sealing company that came and actually found the whole colony, wasn't it?
That's
like 25 years after they had been hiding?
Yeah.
So Thursday's got a Tahitian mother, obviously. That's the only way.
Yeah.
There are only Tahitian women on board.
Yes, that's right. All the Pitcairners today are half Polynesian, half English.
Huh. Including you?
No, I'm a quality import from New Zealand.
Oh, all right.
But they've all got the Polynesian bloodline right through them. I mean, even my children are 9th generation Christians.
Oh, okay.
I can trace their history right back to Fletcher himself. So there's only 10 children, and 5 in my family and 5 in Charlene and Wayne's family. So.
And do you plan on getting them together with each other or going outward? Or
Too closely related.
Yeah, so that's not even an option at this point.
No, I mean, that's the problem Pitcairners have had, and that's why quality imports like myself are brought in. So the bloodline in the island is quite, it's not as close as you'd think it would be with just a small population.
Yeah.
Gosh, 10 children left on the island? I'm curious to see them, so I pop into the school.
Plant is what kind of fruit?
Banana.
Yeah. What kind of vegetable, if you not cook it good, can you use put?
Tala?
Yeah.
Meralda's teaching us Pitcairn, which is a sort of a pidgin English with a seafaring English mixed with a bit of Polynesian. Is that right?
Correct. It's like the children of the Bounty. They've developed this language because their mothers are Polynesians and their fathers are English. And Edward Young came from the West Indies, St. Kitts. Some of the Scottish has come through with McCoy. So all that language is mixed together, and so we've got the Pitcairn language.
I recognize a little bit of twists on English words, like what was full?
Bale sa bus.
Bale sa bus. So that's like your belly is gonna bust. You're so full. Bale sa bus. Yeah? Right? Do you get bale sa bus?
Nope.
Never?
I'm still skinny.
All right. Y'all got your little book?
Yep.
Time for a folk song. Go past the school and pick up the eco trail that follows the path of those elusive mutineers.
The story of the Bounty at Pitcairn is so amazing because it really lays bare our human nature. And this is how the story goes. The mutineers arrive at the island in good spirits with their Tahitian companions. They take the Bounty around that bay over there, and they sink it so as not to be detected. All good, until one of the mutineers' partners passes away, and he demands that one of the Tahitian guy's spouses replaces her. Well, this Tahitian guy, he don't like this one bit. So, before you know it, the Tahitian guys all get together and they plot revenge against the 9 mutineers. When times got tough, Fletcher Christian hid in that cave right there. And in the ensuing battle, the mutineers killed all the Tahitian men and suffered 5 casualties of their own, including poor Fletcher Christian. The year was 1794. And the survivors were Edward Young, John Adams, Matthew Quintal, and William McCoy. 5 green bottles standing on the wall. If one green bottle should accidentally fall. Peace ensues for a few years until McCoy comes here to this very sheltered spot and makes a drug-fueled drink out of the root of a plant called T-I. Well, the properties in this drink drive him crazy, and in 1799, McCoy gets drunk, walks up to the edge of a cliff, ties a rope around his neck, and hurls himself over the edge. Then, Quintal goes crazy as well off this tea drink, and he starts trying to kill Adams and Young, and they kill him in self-defense. A year later, Young dies of asthma, and only Adam survives. He's left with 10 women and 23 children to look after. So what happens is his paternal instincts turn him towards religion as his salvation, and he thus creates the Adamstown that we know today.
As for the pursuing British fleet, a certain Captain Edwards had taken after the Bounty in 1791. But when war was waged against Napoleonic France 12 years later, the British Navy became distracted from capturing the remaining mutineers. And it was only a matter of time before a pardon was declared.
Bottles standing on the wall. In 1815, a U.S. sealing ship called the Topaz, under the stewardship of one captain, Matthew Folger, arrived in Pitcairn and found a God-fearing community in Adamstown. Indeed, John Adams had driven the stake of Christianity into the island's turf with vigor. And though folk aren't as religious today, it's a heritage that's hard to forget. Hello.
Hi.
This is Betty, and she's going to show me Fletcher Christian's Bible, which is right here in this church. And this is it here?
That's it.
So where did they find this?
It was actually brought here on the Bounty and discovered in Fletcher Christian's chest. John Adams found the Bible, and Young taught him how to read. He must have been a very good teacher.
Yeah.
John Adams started having services and teaching the women and children. The community certainly changed from this disastrous beginning.
So this one Bible was the instrument
Yes.
to bringing Adamstown to where it is today.
Exactly, yes.
You got a marriage certificate of Captain Bligh?
Well, it looks like it.
So if this was found with the Bible, then Fletcher Christian might have nabbed it from William Bligh.
He might have, naughty boy, because we've always said it's Christian's Bible, so
Or maybe he saw that was one of William Bligh's prized possessions, and just to spite him, he wanted it. How strong is Christianity here today in Pitcairn?
It's not very strong, sadly. It's probably its weakest point since the island was first settled by the mutineers.
Mm-hmm. But you're doing everything you can to keep it going, huh?
Yeah, we're doing the best we can. We don't even have a pastor on the island at the moment. So we're doing the best we can to keep things going until such time as our church sends a replacement.
All right, Terry's agreed to demonstrate one of the mutineers' favorite pastimes here on Pitcairn. But before we do it, we have to make an announcement on the radio to the entire island because it's pretty dangerous. Here you go.
General announcement, shooting breadfruit above marauders. Shooting breadfruit above marauders.
That's right, folks. We're shooting breadfruit, the evil fruit to the mutineers.
Not just an evil fruit, but also a sport.
Dang.
Enjoyed by Fletcher Christian and Company.
All right, I gotta try this. Hey!
Well done, well done.
Who's the man? Who's the man? Who's the breadfruit king?
The Pitcairners certainly enjoy having company, and judging from their Friday night frolics, I don't get the impression that they miss the outside world. And they're definitely not the God-fearing community John Adams instigated.
All right, so this is a typical Friday night at Pirate Paul's in Pitcairn Island. Now, apparently, how you doing? This is Pirate Paul. This is one of the things he does. He picks you up, he drops you, and then you do this whale tooth shot. He's drilled out the inside here, and he fills them with shots. Real whale's teeth.
Man or mouse.
Here we go. Man or mess. Cheers.
You can't blame them. It must get ever so lonely out here.
I did a whale's tooth at Pirate Paul. I tell you, a good way to transform a man is through whale teeth. It seems I've not only taken a journey through the Pacific, but through its history as well in terms of all its significant discoveries and merciless colonization. And yet somehow through it all, the islands I've visited have maintained their virgin beauty. And as our Western world falls apart, I feel confident that in this part of our planet, paradise on Earth still exists. But like the early explorers, we just have to be willing to leave land to find it.
I want to do one last thing, and that's to dive the Bounty. Very little is left of this ship as it was burned by mutineers keen to escape detection from the British Navy. But just to witness this piece of history, well, it's the stuff of dreams. It's 2 days sailing from Pitcairn aboard the Claymore II as I journey back to French Polynesia from one of the most isolated places on the planet. From there, I will continue my Pacific journey exploring Tonga. I then travel to the heart of Fiji. I gaze upon Norfolk Island and I roam the hills of New Caledonia. So, join me on my second and conclusive Pacific adventure.